Hi, welcome back. This is going to be the sixth and final module of the Budget 1 course. I hope you did well with the last questions. This course, we're going to look over fiscal monitoring, especially the G5 drawdowns that you have to complete for your institution. So let's dive in and look at some external fiscal monitoring. You could be susceptible to obviously annual single audits performed by external auditors, which I will cover in Budget 2 and also was covered in the Uniform Guidance by Plant Moran. The United States Department of Ed could always have site visits that they will have, which will have different compliance goals that you will receive at the time of that site visit. And if you look at and consult back with your GAN, you will have any financial reports that are mentioned in the GAN and its attachments. However, now most of the fiscal monitor is done by you completing your G5 drawdowns. So the G5 drawdowns, you should have access to the G5 system, obviously, to complete that. And this will be used by your federal program officer and anyone else to monitor the spending incurred on your TRIO grant. That's why it is important that you draw down timely. We here do it monthly basis. I would suggest that. Obviously, you might have different factors that affect that at your institution. So just have to make sure that it's done timely manner, because untimely drawdowns or slow spending can result in additional information being required by your program officer. A lot of times if we're being tracked in the G5 system and it looks like we're gonna have a large carryover balance at the end of the budget period, the program officer will question us about it. We'll receive a letter saying, hey, this is indicating that you're tracking to have a large balance at the end. You will need to provide projections to see how much of that balance, and if it is truly going to be a large balance at the end, it could result in reduced awards in the future, or you might not receive your full carryover balance so you're losing funding either way. Internally, you should also have a fiscal monitoring system. As mentioned before, your accounting system should have the ability to track your budget to actual expenditures. You should also have a bridge report built, if you have issues like we do where our categories, we have a lot of accounts that roll up to the different budget categories, so we build bridge reports to roll up to the budget categories that the USDOE has in translating our accounting software. Also, as I mentioned in a previous module, we have a different fiscal year than the federal award, so that's why it really helps our project directors in understanding their budgets if our accounting department helps them build a budget bridge report. It also, as I mentioned before, the timely spending part of that is the project director has to ensure that they're getting stuff in there in a timely manner. I know it's natural habit to wait for an invoice, but you should be monitoring your encumbrances to make sure that they're in there in a timely manner, so that helps with knowing how much budget's available. You should make sure your expenditures are posting properly, that your purchase orders are being converted to invoices at times due, not just it's at the end of the budget period and that's when you're looking. It should be a continuation along the whole period as a whole. Also, with your encumbrances, you should be monitoring your labor encumbrances, your part-time hours, if your employees are in there at the right hours. You should have regular meetings for that to make sure that your encumbrances are actually indicating what you're expecting. Continuing on with internal fiscal monitoring, we have project expenditures to the end of the current period. As I mentioned before, you should have projections, and this helps internal parties ensure that the grant is fiscally on track. You might know what you're planning on doing, the grant accountant might know, but there might be internal parties that are, higher up that just want to look in there and make sure it's on track. Your boss might want to go in there and see, and if you're not properly maintaining it in your accounting software and you're maintaining it separately, it's going to raise some flags internally that you could probably avoid. And then, as I mentioned, if you're keeping these projections and your program officer comes in and requests the projections, obviously if you have something built, you might want to clean it up a little bit because internally you might not put as much thought. You might want to have better explanations, but at least you have something built there. And especially if you're projecting a large carryover, it's very likely that the program officer will ask you about these projections. This concludes our last module in the Budget 1 course. I want to invite you to contact Nichelle Knox if you had any questions related to this course or this module or any previous modules within this course. Her email is located on this slide. There'll be some questions to finish this module, and then you will be moving on from the Budget 1 course. You can go back and consult the slides, which should be downloadable on the system, or you can review the videos if you would like as well. If not, please complete the questions, and I will see you again in the Budget 2 course.